Your mind is loud, that's why you can't hear life. Have you ever truly listened not with your ears, but with your whole being? Most people believe the world is noisy. But if you observe carefully, you will realize it's not the world that's loud. It is your mind that's screaming all the time. Thought after thought, opinion after opinion, past, future, memory. Imagination, your mind, is like a radio with no off switch, always playing, mostly static. And in this static, life is lost. Life doesn't shout, it whispers. It sings in the silence between two sounds. It dances in the gap between two thoughts. But if your inner space is occupied by a never-ending commentary, how will you ever hear the song of existence? You see, thoughts are not a problem unless they become compulsive. A knife in your hand is a tool. But if the knife begins to control you, it becomes dangerous. The mind is a magnificent instrument, but only if you know when to use it and when to put it down. Right now, your mind is not something you are using, it is using you. Silence is not the absence of thought. It is the absence of noise. When you are no longer entangled in every thought that arises, a stillness descends. And in that stillness, life becomes visible, audible, tangible. Suddenly, the breeze feels like a message. A flower becomes a miracle. A moment becomes eternity. But this cannot happen unless you learn to step back from the noise. Just for one moment today, sit. Don't do anything. Don't judge. If you are fortunate in that moment of inner quiet, you will hear something deeper than sound, the pulse of life itself. Because peace is not something you achieve. It is what remains when the noise is gone. The noise within is far more deafening than anything the world can produce. People often complain about the chaos around them, the traffic, the chatter, the demands of life, but the real storm is not outside. It is inside. The mind left unchecked becomes a non-stop machine, churning out thoughts without pause. Even when you sit in a quiet room, even when the world goes still, your mind keeps talking. It replays the past, imagines the future, judges the present. It speaks in 100 voices all at once. And because you are constantly listening to this noise, you miss the subtlety of life. Have you noticed the most profound experiences in life, a sunset, the laughter of a child, the scent of the earth after rain, they don't make noise. They don't demand your attention. They only reveal themselves when your attention is free. But when your mind is shouting its opinions and stories, even the most beautiful moment slips past you unnoticed. The mind drowns out the music of life and then complains that life feels empty. You are not suffering the world, you are suffering your own mind. The restlessness, the tension, the feeling of being overwhelmed, it's not out there. It's in here. The real noise is not on the street, it's in your head. And unless you learn to quiet that internal chaos, no amount of silence outside will bring you peace. The world becomes peaceful the moment you become still. But to reach that stillness, you must first realize it is not the world that is too loud. It is you. Thoughts are a remarkable gift, the very thing that makes human beings capable of vision, creation, and transformation. But the same gift, when left uncontrolled, becomes a trap. The mind was meant to be a servant, a tool to help you navigate life. But somewhere along the way, you forgot this. Now the tool has taken over. The mind has become the master, and you have become the follower. Whatever thought arises, you believe it. Whatever emotion follows, you obey it. There is no distance between you and your mind. It speaks and you dance. This is like giving the keys of your life to a wild horse. It might take you somewhere wonderful, but it is just as likely to run you into a ditch. When the mind rules you, life becomes accidental. Peace becomes rare. Joy becomes occasional. You are constantly reacting, constantly managing chaos, both inside and outside. But a tool, when properly held, becomes powerful. When you create even a small space between you and your thoughts, suddenly you are free. You can choose which thoughts to entertain and which to let pass. You can use the mind like a scalpel, sharp, precise, effective, instead of letting it swing wildly like a hammer in the dark. Freedom does not come by stopping thought. It comes by understanding that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. You are the one who can decide. And the moment you reclaim that power, the mind once again becomes what it was always meant to be, your greatest ally, not your greatest burden. Stillness is not something you do, it is something you become available to. But it cannot touch you unless you are willing to move beyond the endless ripples of your mind. Most people think being still means sitting without movement. But you can sit like a statue and still be in complete turmoil within. True stillness is an inner state where the noise has settled and your perception becomes clear, like a still lake that reflects everything around it with perfect clarity. When the surface of your mind is agitated, even the most beautiful truths of life are distorted. You cannot see reality, you only see your version of it, shaped by fear, desire, memory, and projection. But the moment your inner waters become still, something remarkable happens. You begin to experience life not as you think it is, but as it truly is, raw, alive, and vibrant beyond words. It is in this state that you begin to taste life in its fullness. A breath becomes more than air, it becomes a miracle. A glance becomes more than contact, it becomes connection. Stillness doesn't dull your experience, it sharpens it. It brings an intensity and richness that the distracted mind could never comprehend. But this stillness is not something far away. It is always within you, beneath the layers of mental movement. It is like the sky always present behind the clouds. The more you rest in this stillness, the more you will realize life has never been absent. It is your own noise that has kept you from hearing it. Life is not always speaking in grand events or dramatic moments. Most of the time it is whispering. It speaks through the rustle of leaves, the rhythm of your breath, the way sunlight dances through the window. But to hear it, you must be quiet, not just outwardly but inwardly. The problem is, the moment something happens, your mind instantly labels it good, bad, right, wrong. Before the experience is even complete, the mind has already offered a judgment. And in that judgment, the raw aliveness of the moment is lost. When your mind is too loud, you are not really listening, you are only reacting. Even in a conversation, you are not listening to understand, you are listening to reply. You are busy preparing your thoughts while the other person is speaking. And so you miss not only what they said, but the life that was behind their words, the emotion, the energy, the presence. This is not just about other people. You miss the voice of your own body, your own intuition, the gentle nudges life gives you. Because your head is too busy, your heart is unheard. But when the noise settles, your capacity to listen deepens. You begin to perceive not just what is obvious, but what is subtle. You start noticing things others overlook. You feel life not in theory, not in concept, but as a living, breathing reality all around you. In this kind of listening, you don't need to understand everything. You simply become receptive, and life flows into you like light through an open window. This is not imagination. This is clarity, the kind that only arises when your mind knows how to be quiet. Peace is not something you go out and find. It is not at the end of an achievement, a relationship, or a possession. It is what remains when everything unnecessary is dropped. But right now your mind is crowded not with life, but with noise. With opinions that don't belong to you, with fears borrowed from the past, with desires planted by someone else. You are carrying so much that does not serve you, and then you wonder why peace feels distant. You think peace is a goal, something to chase, something to build. So you struggle, you meditate forcefully, you fight with your thoughts, trying to quiet the mind through effort. But peace does not come through force. It comes through understanding. When you truly see the nature of your mind, not with resistance, but with gentle awareness, something loosens within you. You stop clutching at every thought. You stop believing every story it tells. And in that moment, you are not adding anything, you are simply removing what is false. What remains is not emptiness. It is fullness without weight, a quiet joy, a natural ease. Peace is your original nature, not something to be manufactured, but something to be uncovered. Like the sun behind the clouds, it was always there. You don't have to create light, you just have to remove what blocks it. The mind is loud, but you are not the mind. You are the space in which the mind rises and falls. The more you recognize this, the less entangled you become. And the less entangled you are, the more life begins to unfold not as a struggle to be controlled, but as a mystery to be embraced. So, what is it that stands between you and life? Not the world, not people, not circumstances, but the constant noise within. Your mind has become a drumbeat so loud that it drowns out the subtle music of existence. You keep searching for peace, for meaning, for truth, but you are searching with the very tool that is causing the disturbance. Silence is not a luxury, it is the doorway. When the noise settles, even for a moment, life floods in raw, real, and radiant. You begin to hear not just sounds but silence. You begin to see not just forms but presence. You begin to live not as a bundle of thoughts and reactions, but as a conscious being, alert and alive to each breath, each moment. Don't try to silence the mind with force. Just see it for what it is, a tool, not your identity. Let your awareness become larger than your thoughts. Let stillness become familiar. And in that stillness, you will discover something not far away, not in the heavens, but within you, always present, always waiting. Life has always been speaking. The question is, are you quiet enough to hear it?